Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we've got a top 10 list for Series 11. Normally what I do is just cards and combos, but for this one we had like 10 new archetypes exactly, so I decided to mix it up and just rank the kind of new archetypes. Each one had their own leader as well, so we're going to kind of go through there, and just these are just my preliminary thoughts. I know we're kind of like a little bit late because I'd like to try to do it before the pre-release, but I was a little bit late even getting the box. I did get it, and you know we saw that, but I totally just forgot it was this past weekend. So sorry for all that. But this should be fun. I'll be interested to see not only what you guys think of it today, but then maybe looking at it in a month or so. And comparing to see what we thought this, kind of the decks that will be on top are, and then what actually ends up happening. So looking forward for that. Also, if you guys are needing any of the cards from the set, make sure to look on the TCG player link in my description below. If you click that link and then you buy any cards, I get a bit of a kickback for it. So it just helps me out for technically free because you guys are needing those cards anyways. So if you want to support me while not like having to like lose any money, definitely consider doing that, and it just helps me a lot. But without further ado, geez, let's go into the top 10 list.
Number 10.
To start the list, we've got this blue Vegeta GT ramp leader. I hope I'm not offending anyone by putting it at number 10. And I guess a short disclaimer, I think all 10 of these archetypes are good. In the past, we've just had some issues with some archetypes being a little bit underpowered or kind of like gimmicky. And I'd say like Vegeta's maybe a little bit gimmicky, but I think all 10 of these kind of stand on their own. The only downside, part of the reason I put him at number 10 though is he's just kind of not good inside the actual set. I'd say that he might be a little bit better with a bunch of additional extra cards we get from the rest of the game and everything. But it's still ramp. Ramp's still good, and I don't think he's too costly for what he does. I think the only thing with him is that he doesn't have a lot of card advantage, which is normal for ramp. And the fact that when you deal damage to your opponent, you look at the top card for your deck, and if it's mono blue, you place the top the energy in rest mode, so you get ramp for it. But you pretty much have like this weird condition where you swing in, and then you either invest a card, and then you ramp, and then your opponent like gets a card from their life, or I don't know, or you don't, and then it's just like a weird stalemate, and you don't get like anything done. But it's fine. He gets to draw a card when he attacks too, and he's an awakened draw 1 as well. I think untap 2 would be kind of silly because especially with how much energy you have, I think it's fine. But yeah, they're obviously a little bit worried about this card being a little bit overpowered. So I think they gave a couple little I don't know, nerfs is the right word, but just like a little bit of costs and stuff like that for his abilities. But ramp's always been good in this game, and if ramp's a little bit too broken, then it just kind of spirals out of control. And I think it's a huge issue, especially for this game where how much energy you have, like it's every turn really matters. Being able to cheat up 1 or 2 turns can really change the game for your side. So we're kind of restricting this to being a mono blue deck, I think is fine. Giving mono blue some good cards to ramp to, which is good because I don't think we've really had, especially since Gogeta got banned, I don't think there was any really good cards for blue to ramp up to. So we got some more and cool options for that now, especially, and we got a couple in the last couple months as well, especially like the Turning the Tides Android 17. I think that's what he is. He's Turning the Tides, and yeah, I think it's good. And then the backside leader is great too, especially because when your opponent activates a counter skill, you pretty much switch it back to active mode. So being able to swing with this twice, I don't know why he doesn't have the draw. Like this is a once per turn, unlike Zamasu. I don't think it'd be broken, but whatever, that's fine. And yeah, I think this is cool, and I think there's some cool things you can do with him. And I really like this Vegeta, especially in like the Beerus deck. He has like really good ramp potential and everything. And so I think this is cool, but I think it's just a little bit too gimmicky, and sometimes can have some problems with hand advantage or getting kind of steamrolled, I think, like mid game. But once it starts setting up, you got some like really good power, and I think it's cool. So it's number 10, but let's move on to the next one.
Number 9.
Next up, we've got the Garlic Jr. archetype, and this is kind of like a build-a-deck archetype, and what I mean by that is pretty much all these cards you just add 4 of, and then you pretty much have your deck, right? You buy a box, you trade for the super rares you don't have, and boom, you've got a 50-card deck with all the cards you need, and pretty competent in that kind of sense. And normally I don't like those because I really do like the deck building, and also I felt like the Servant and Overlord mechanic was going to be trash in this. I wasn't really sold on it, but I built the deck, I tried it out, and I was completely changed by it. I think it was super fun, and especially like if we have these stored championship tournaments where you're only restricted to set 11, I think this is a fantastic deck for that because it just has so much synergy that I feel like other kind of archetypes would need from other sets to really pull off. But since you kind of have everything right here, and everything's obviously set 11, I think there's some really cool synergy, and it's not bad. Like there's a lot of cool plays you can do, being able to like just summon a bunch of bodies on the board and then get a lot of card advantage by using the overlords to recycle them. The 3-drop into the 5-drop. 5-drop's super cool. Being a big old double strike. No, is he double? Okay, he gets double strike with baby. Essentially, this is the one that gets it. So there's just like a lot of cool synergies with it. I think the only thing is obviously, I feel like the skill level of this deck still has a cap though, and that's just because it's just such a you have to pretty much run all the archetype cards, and there's not enough room for really anything else. But what the archetype does is pretty good, I think, and moderately consistent as well. There's definitely some power here, but I don't know if it's competitively viable, but definitely very fun. And if someone's trying to get into this into the game, or like even want to figure out how the Overlord and Sword mechanic works, I think this is a cool deck for that. And it's definitely better than I thought. And I think it will surprise you if you haven't played it or played against it. So I definitely recommend testing it out.
Number 8.
Next up, we've got Gogeta, the red one, and we've had this like a couple sets ago, right? But this is like the BR Gogeta, and essentially this is, I feel like, an extension of the previous cards we got. This is just a lot of pretty much the same guys, and it takes advantage of being able to union stuff as well, especially with this Gotenks. This card is probably super duper good and one of the best red unisons we've got, but when you activate this card with Union, add a marker to it, and then it's a +0, you get to draw cards. So it's just like it gains like a lot of advantage for doing stuff you're already doing, and you get to like draw a card and add a unison marker for it. Like it's just good, and then your opponent wants to swing into that or whatever. So I think this card's super good for the archetype in general, especially since the Union skills for this archetype are free. They don't cost energy, so you can plop this down on turn 2 without any worry, and you can get another marker and draw another card for free. But this leader's great as well. I don't know if this is the best leader for the archetype. Truthfully, I don't like this archetype as much because it's more of like an aggro kind of swarm archetype in a lot of ways. There's definitely ways to do it more mid-range with, depending on your ratios for the unions and stuff. But it's definitely, I think, very competent and well thought out. I think there's enough time for you to do all your plays. This Birth of a Super Warrior is, a fantastic card. And I think there's just like a lot of synergies you can do with all of these. But this leader is pretty good as well. So when this card attacks, up to 1 card from the top of your deck, 1 card from your life to your hand. Then look up top 7 cards from your deck, up to 1 red extra card, any cost of 1. Then shuffle your deck. So it could be this Birth of the Super Warrior, but we've got some other 1-drop red cards that are good too. And then when you activate a Union skill, draw 1 once per turn. So pretty much it's just if you just play this and then you Union something and then you put it, pop it back like one of the Vegeks or Vekus or whatever's, not Vegeks but Vekus, then you're able to bounce it back and then you get your 2 cards back and you get to draw 2 cards. Like that's just like free advantage for so much. And like this card gets to essentially draw 3 every turn, which is nuts. And then it's an untapped 2, which is fine because you're already getting so much card advantage. Backside is a 15k double strike, and then when this card attacks, draw 1, it gets plus 5k power. And then you still get your Union skill draw as well. So if you're doing 2 Unions a turn, you can do this Gogeta, Union, and then Awaken, and then do another Union, and then you're just getting a lot of extra cards. Especially since like this is like this can be a Union fusion as well, and this also draws 2 cards. Like you just get a lot of card advantage. And you have just a bunch of guys that you have to worry about. And yeah, I like this deck. I think it has a lot going for it, a lot of good cycle, and a lot of the pieces just fit really well together. I need to test it out more personally, and maybe I put it up higher when I did, but I definitely think I think this is a perfectly good archetype. And the only thing I don't like about it is it's still a little bit like Build-A-Deck or Cookie Cutter, where you pretty much know all the cards are going into it, and it's just, any Goku BRs, Veku's BRs, Gogeta BRs, Vegeta BRs, you just put them all in one deck, and then you just go from there, which is not fun deck building wise, but definitely I can see like from a playing standpoint, it can be very fun and successful. So here's this deck, and let's go on to the next one.
Number 7.
Next up, we've got the green Gotenks. This is our second green Gotenks leader. We got one in the draft box almost, 2-3 years ago? It must have been almost 3 years ago. Dang. But yeah, I think this guy's really cool, and he's just gotten some more support from the anniversary box as well. So all this cards, coming together make just a really good deck. And I think this deck has a lot of flexibility. I think that's one of the best things about it. You have a bunch of different Union fusions you can go into. You have a bunch of different Gotens and Trunks to go into or use their effects as well. And I think just it combines not only well like that, but the package is moderately small too, right? You get to kind of customize your package, and then also from there you can just decide, okay, what do I want to play against? You have room for counter plays, or just like some powerful finishers or that kind of stuff. So I like the fact that not only this deck is flexible in the sense of what your cards do, but on the flexibility of how you can build it as well. Of course, like the first half or cards are going to be the same. You want to put all probably 6 to 8 Trunks, 6 to 8 Gotenks. You want all of this Vegeta, especially because it helps you awaken early. It's one of the if you have a 2-drop Unisons in play, you get to untap 1, draw 1, and draw down to 6 life to awaken early. He also has like this really cool effect too, that your opponent's leader card can't attack with battle, or your opponent's leader card can't attack your battle cards, which is interesting, especially when you consider the Unison card, which gives all your mono green battle cards revenge. So like if they want to swing into your cards, they pretty much have to use a battle card or a Unison card too, but then the revenge can get rid of the battle card. So it's really cool without having to give them blocker. They can still be offensive, but then you can give them the revenge. I don't know. There's like just a bunch of cool synergies with it, and a lot of uniqueness that I really like, and I think it's just super fun to play. And if you want to customize it and do your own kind of builds with them, I think it kind of has that opening for that as well. So this is just number 7. I'd probably put this higher if I wasn't trying to be if I wasn't trying to be unbiased. I'd probably put this higher, mostly just because of how much fun I've had with this deck. But I think this guy is fantastic, and you should definitely try him out.
Number 6.
For number 6, we've got the Yellow Sun Gohan, or Yellow Sun Gohan Skillless, whatever. I don't know if there's any catchy name for him yet, but he's pretty much like a skillless leader that isn't skillless Ku, right? Like it's not the Kid Goku, Kid Ku leader, but he is kind of like the first like vanilla support on a leader. I know we've got like a bunch of like 10k vanilla like red supports in the draft box, but none of those have really gone anywhere. But I super like this, just the idea of this guy, right? And he's just so flexible because of it. So pretty much, permanent during your opponent's turn if you have, during your turn if you have a skillless battle card and play this game's plus 5k power. When this card attacks, draw 1, then add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. So Self Awakening is really good. It's a draw 2 leader as well, so you just gain so much card advantage. And then on the Awaken side, activate once per turn, draw 1, then play up to 1 skills battle card with a cost of 1 from your drop area. So that essentially draws 2, right? You draw a card and you get a free 5k on the board. And then active battle, when this card is in battle, if there's a monster card in your combo area, draw 1. So you can use the card that you get the higher dragon for free, and then you use it for a combo piece, and it's either player's turn too. So I don't know, there's just a lot of synergy. You pretty much just draw a bunch because of this, and I think there's just some really cool stuff you can do with it. So it's a nice little cool engine that you can go from there. It's a yellow Saiyan, which there's a lot of synergies in there. It's yellow in general, so you can play like Bardock and stuff. I just really like it. It's a small package, and it's just a cool leader, and I think there's just a bunch of possibilities that you can do to really take advantage of all this, and all the skillless stuff too. And there's also like just, I know this is cheating, but I'm going to go to, normally I don't do this. Normally I don't do cards outside of it, but like there's also like Khalifa and Katsu, like both these guys are 1-drop yellow cards that you can play for free. And so like this one can go, you can do like the engine there, you can do like a Universe 6 engine. Like both these I think are really cool ideas, and I'll probably make videos of them too. But like I don't know, it just shows like how flexible this leader is. Yellow's a really good leader color, and I like this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of creative stuff others can do with this leader as well.
Number 5.
At the halfway point, we've got this Vegeta and Bobbity leader with this archetype. I will say, okay, I don't think this leader is, I don't know. I like this archetype enough. It's not my playstyle, obviously, but I think that that's a little bit of a glass cannon. I know that's a common phrase, but the fact that you pretty much go all in on one turn if your opponent has a ways to stop you, you kind of leave yourself open, right? Because this guy, add 1 card from your life, and then when this card attacks, draw 1, then this gains plus 5k and double strike, and then it's a 5 or less, you untap 2 and then flip it over. And then you can do the same thing, active main, 1 card from your life, and then you draw 1 against double strike again. So I don't know, like you can just go really hard with this leader, be really aggressive with it. So I think that's like powerful for sure. But the I don't know, it's just like a bit of a, I don't know, you take so much of your own life, and sure it's a double strike, but if you're playing against like blue counters, they'll just counter all your attacks, and then you don't do anything, right? And so I think the deck is so strong though. I think it has a lot of good plays. I think the biggest point I like to point out here is I really like this Dark Broly Overwhelming Evil, and especially paired up with this Demon God Deborah. I think these are fantastic, especially for like a mid-range hand control deck, which I love. These two are just going to be by themselves before I decided that this video was going to be about all 10 of the archetypes. But I feel like this combo is fantastic. Being able to just you just gain so much value. Play this for 3, and then you discard a card, and you have your opponent discard a card, and then blow up one of their cards. And use Deborah, and so you make them discard another card while you still just get like a ball back. And then you just go from there. And like with starter deck Frieza, I think is really cool because you can pop like a Dodoria, and then Dodoria comes back, and then like I don't know, there's just so much synergy in my mind. And then you can use like this guy to get the ball to get use on Frieza to make him Frieza Xeno. Like I really like this. I've made like 3 decks about it, so obviously I like this a lot. But I still think there's definitely a lot going on with this whole this deck as well, especially since this is this color's like Overlord leader, so it has a part of it, so you can pop your cards like your 3-drop Vegeta, and like this has Servant double strike, so it's a big 30k double strike. And when your opponent activates the counter, you switch this card active mode, so this can be like a dual attack double strike for a lot of ways. And then also for 1 green, you may look at the bottom card of your deck. If it's a Vegeta card with a cost of 3 or less with Servant, you can play it from the bottom of your deck. So if you pretty much you can pop it and you can bring it back. And so like there's a lot of pressure this deck can do for sure. And I don't think it's bad in that sense. It's just something you have to be really careful about. And it's not something I'm great at, but I definitely think that there's some good pilots that can really take advantage of this. I think the other thing about it is this is a little bit more, it is a bit of a glass cannon, but it's a little bit linear in what you're doing. There's just a bunch of easy plays. Oh, did I forget? I totally did. You guys are probably making fun of me. There is the 1-drop green extra card, right? Where is it? Maybe it's not 1-drop. There it is. Majin Quickening. This card helps the deck for sure. Yeah, because when you play this guy, when you add cards from your life to your hand, plays cards under this, and then if you have 4 or more, you can play green Majin Buu from this. So boom, bam, right? Then you get like a free Majin Buu, and then you can use the EX evolved into this guy, and you can go into this guy. So it all makes sense to me. I think there's some really good stuff that this leader does. It puts a lot of pressure. And once again, I think this is like a really cool like linear. Like if you want to play aggression in this format, this is the leader to do it with. For green, at least, I think it's really straightforward, and you can really just buy a box, put all these cards together, and then buy the ones you're missing. Because you're really you're playing this guy, and you're only playing 8 super rares most. I don't think you're probably running 4 of this guy, but you're probably already running like 3 of this guy, and I think the rest are just like commons and rares. So this is probably a pretty cheap deck. Let's see. So 35, so multiply that by 4. So like $150, a little under that for the deck. So probably fine. And that's really it. So I think this is good. I really like this idea of Deborah and Broly, but I think the rest of the cards combined are also a pretty competent deck as well.
Number 4.
All right, for number 4, we've got this guy. I had a really hard time placing this. I think a lot of people agree with me where this deck is good, and I think everyone knows it's good, but we don't know why it's good. I know that seems like anti-productive, but it doesn't click for me yet. I haven't played it enough. I haven't seen people play it enough, but I think it's obvious that this deck has a lot of cool things going for it, and it's really unique in a lot of ways. And I think mostly the thing that's hindering me personally is I'm not really used to playing black decks, and that also means that I don't know their tech cards and that stuff as well. But I think if you have a really good pilot with this, with a really well-made deck, they're going to be almost unstoppable with this deck. I think it's super cool. It's got a lot of cool stuff going for it. And it's a really unique set. And I think this is going to have your opponents using cards to mitigate you, but right, because these 1-drops are really explodable in a lot of ways because they're only 1-drops even though they're 30Ks. So there's ways to get around them. Unless you're playing like Red. Red's going to have a hard time against this, but. I think there's just some cool plays you can do. You're just putting a bunch of big 30k Brolys out, and you can give them crit or double strike, and just apply a lot of pressure over time. And then you're also like a hand destruction archetype, so I have to like that. I don't know. It's just super weird. You kind of have to like play this deck a lot to figure out how it works. But essentially, you use this Broly to go into your other Brolys, and then you can use this Toa and this Paragus to give them critical. And then when you awaken with your leader, you're able to do stuff like combo with all your extra, all your cards essentially. Even though they're 0 combos halfway through the game, they become free 5Ks, even if they're in rest mode, which is cool. And just in general, we might spoilers talk about this later, but Black just got a bunch of cool toolbox and like random extra cards that makes it viable. It's just like a mid-range deck too. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going for it. I'm looking forward to seeing someone crack the magic formula for this deck. I haven't seen it yet, nor have I built it yet. I promise if I did, I'd give it to you guys, but I'm still working on it. But it's just super cool, and just the uniqueness of this kind of 30k one drop deck is really neat. And you can't help but just look at these cards and say, huh, what's this deck doing? And being really curious on how it all works. So that's number 4. This could go either way, probably higher, but I put it at number 4.
Number 3.
All right, number 3, we've got the Red Broly Swap Servant archetype, I guess. All right. Cards on the table. I guess that's like no pun intended, I guess. But I haven't seen this deck be good, and that's probably a me thing, because I've talked to a lot of people and they've told me it's good, and I've played against this deck during like the first couple weeks of September, and I took a break like during the last half of September from playing, but people keep telling me this deck is good, and I have to believe them, right? I don't want to be a fraud. I have not seen it. I bet this deck is good, and I understand why, because if you look at these guys, like this guy, they all say stuff like adding markers to your Unison card, which I think when we get better red Unison cards, this is going to be even more of an impact. I don't think Kale's super duper good. I could be wrong. This if anyone's contradicting with me in the comments, keep it up, because you're probably right. But I feel like the idea of just adding Unison markers for doing the stuff you already want to do is cool. And these swaps are pretty nice as well. Being able to go into, okay, it says mono red. Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm thinking like the red green ones, but yeah. So being able to swap into these big crit boys, and then also being able to rip cards out of your opponent's hand, like this big old 6-drop, being able to just play it as a crit double strike, and then you get to add markers, and then you can just rip 3 cards out of your opponent's hand. So that can be like blockers, or not blockers, but counters and all that kind of stuff. Like, it just seems really, really good. And at the end, they don't come back into the end of your opponent's turn. So I feel like this guy's good, and this guy kind of has protection for it as well. Choose one card in your hand, discard it. When one of your red Broly BR cards is removed from play by opponent's effect or KO'd, removed from a battle area. Choose up to one red Broly card with any cost 4 or less in your hand and play it. So you get to play it for free, and then you get this 4-drop, and then you just have to rip a card from your opponent's hand as well. And like it just seems good. Like, there's a lot of stuff for it. I think the only thing that I saw when I first played against it was it felt like it needed like one more free thing to do, or like it needed to cost 1 more energy. It didn't feel like it was really going off in turn 2, and turn 3 is where it was really going off with all the stuff they wanted to play. And I think it's fine. I definitely want to see more of this deck, and if it's going to be good, then I'm definitely going to see it. But yeah, that's my thing. If I'm wrong on any part of this, please let me know. And I look forward to seeing more of this deck, I guess, unless it's too cheap. Then I hope it gets banned. But we'll see it how it is. This also, I think the secret rare is really cool, especially since it works for either this archetype or the Gogeta, because you just need a Saiyan with 35k power. But you play this card from your hand, then you choose up to one of your mono red, it gets plus 10k, and then all cards in your opponent's leader area, battle area, and combo area get minus 5k power or combo. So it just pretty much means you can't combo with anything less than a super combo or like a 10k, which is nuts. And that's a big old 40k double strike with barrier too. So it's just super cool. I think it's a great, and you play it for free. Yeah, you play it for free, right? So I don't know. It's a great finisher, and if you can consistently see it, you're gonna feel pretty good about it. But I don't know. That's why I'm talking about this. We'll see how good it is, and let's go to number 2.
Number 2.
For number 2, we've got Son Goku Xeno, and I don't know. I don't know if it's technically this leader. I know that this leader's good, and I know that the box topper was well as well. But here's my reason for putting him at number 2. Vegeta is probably one of the best decks in the format. Going from set 10. And it's got nothing but more gas right now, right? And there's just a bunch of good cards, especially since there's some really good unisons that can be played. The Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, I think, is fantastic, and then also this Super Saiyan 4 Son Gohan, being able to just get advantage for just doing warping and doing overwhelm stuff, which you're doing anyways. That feels super good. And then, this one helps you self-awakening when you're still doing that. And this auto once per turn, if your leader card is black, when your opponent plays a battle card using a non-keyword skill, They choose one card from their hand, discard it. It's either player's turn, and you have to, they have to drop a card, and it's on this body that your opponent has to like kind of make sure they ram into and do that out of class. I don't know. I like this card. I think it's super cool. So being able to have this card for like these decks and everything, and I don't know, like this Bardock as well, being able to be like a reactive topo. So if you know that you're going in next turn, you can play this, and then you can guarantee like you can almost get to next turn. Like you almost guarantee you get to next turn. So that seems really good. The Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku Man on a mission, a double strike crit for 0 energy. That's kind of nuts. And I think this leader is super good. I think there's going to be a lot of viable Black Saiyan leaders. We've got this one. We've got Vegeta is still probably going to be really, really good because it still bursts 5, which is nuts. This still bursts 3, but it also has self-awakening part of it, so you get to like draw 1 and get 1 card from your life. And then also if you pair that up with if you get like Vegeta turn 1, so you get to put 3 cards in your life. 3 cards into your drop area, and then you get to draw 2 cards from your life and draw 1, and then you can overwhelm. And it's just like there's a lot of advantage and a lot of pressure you can put on with these cards. So I think there's some really cool decks that are coming down the way. I think Black is just a really good like overwhelm / aggression deck is coming and staying because it has been like that. And I guess we'll really see on it. I think the biggest contention is who's the best leader for this archetype. I chose this because it's the one that came in the set, but I think he's good. I think the box topper is good, and Vegeta is so good. So that's that. I mean, just being able to get double strike, plus 5k power for every 8 black battle cards in your warp is good. And also once per turn, place it to 4 black battle cards from your warp to your drop area, and then draw 1. So I think 4 is like a super good number as well. Normally it's only like 3, so that extra 1 helps, I think, a lot. I also like this Bardock because you're able to overwhelm for 6, and it has hand destruction, right? I love hand destruction, and I don't know. I'm just gushing over it, like how good and flexible these cards are, and we'll really see how good it is. But I think there's definitely going to be some aggressive kind of black overwhelm Saiyans in the future to stay.
Number 1.
And for number 1, I put the blue counterplay archetype. I don't know who saw this coming, or if this is a wild pick or not. This might just be based off my own playing with it and everything, but this just seems super solid in a lot of ways, and just kind of takes advantage. Like, I think Planet Tuffle's a dumb card. I'm going to say it. Because if your leader card's a blue baby card, all your energy is mono blue. When activating a counter skill of a mono blue battle card, mono blue card in general, with any cost of 5 or less from your hand, reduce the energy cost of that card in your hand by 1. So you just get to cheat energy, and then you get to play counterplays, and all these counterplays summon themselves, so you have like a lot of advantage from there. Like, it just makes it so that your opponent has a really hard time playing the game. So I think like this archetype in general is strong. I personally feel like this strong. Like this is the other combo that I was gonna have before I put it as its own, like, all 10 archetypes, but this baby golden freeze Avenger with this baby is just fantastic. The unknown parasite. This is like, if you get to 5 energy, you get so much advantage. Being able to just say, all right, so I'll play this for 5. Even if you just play this for 5, hard cast for 5. Use the -5. You get to give your leader plus 15k in double strike, and then you can play counter cards for free by just discarding 2 cards from your hand, right? So now you've got like this 30k double strike leader, and leaders are really hard to interact with during the battle step, unlike unisons. Unisons are kind of like that, but they're getting a little bit worse like that. And battle cards, obviously, you can mess with them, but having your leader like that is super good as a 30k double strike. Babies like this, but like Zamasu, or even like the GT Vegeta leader, both those cards kind of have like dual attack. Like Zamasu definitely has dual attack, but Vegeta does. So being able to have like dual attack 30k double strike on a leader is absurd. But not only that, but you can pretty much have a free battering with it too. So if they try to counter your attack with anything, you can use this baby golden Avenger for 0 energy. You just have to discard 2 cards from your hand, and then you play this as a big 30k triple strike, and then you also get to draw a card and then pop one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier. Like, all that seems like really absurd. I think this is just a good combo. I think even decks that are just mono blue, that are just more aggressive, like I think Zamasu is probably going to be one of the best decks still in the format if they run this combo. And I think like Soul Striker is probably in a very similar position as well. I think this is all really good, but not only that, but I think their super, or sorry, not their super, their secret rare is super absurd. It's really, really generic, and it really just like, you should have to find it. And I know this card is moderately searchable. It's baby, and it's all, I mean, I guess baby doesn't really matter, but the fact that it's a counterplay means you can keep searching the top of the deck for it with a bunch of the counterplay searching cards. But if you have 3 or more energy and negate the attack, then play this card, your opponent can't attack for the turn. Like, that's nuts, right? The only way you can really interact with this guy is like if you're playing the mirror match, which I can't even imagine what the baby mirror match would look like. That seems like a waste of everyone's time. Like, I don't even want to know what that looks like. It looks like it's going to be terrible for everyone. But yeah, and then also if your leader card is mono blue, you can choose one other card and discard it instead of paying this card's energy cost when activating its counter skill. So it's pretty much a topo that you pay for 0 energy that just says, oh, stop all attacks. Like, it just ends the turn for your opponent, which is so powerful for something you can pay 0 energy with. So if you just have another card in your hand and 3 energy, which is super easy to do in this game, it just feels gross. Like, it just pretty much guarantees, okay, I'm going into next turn. You can be as greedy as you want this turn as long as you have this guy in your hand, and then you can just punish your opponent for trying to, your opponent can't really even play around it, which is kind of rough. So that's what my thoughts are. Like, I think this card is by itself like the best card in the set. And then, around a really good archetype with also like a really, really stupid finisher, I think this is just the best one in my mind. So let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if this is contradictory, if this is not your best, if this isn't what you think will be the best deck in the format. Let me know what you guys think about it, and I'll see you guys next time.